All right, let's talk about naming this compound. Now, it is a skeletal structure, and so if you're good with working with skeletal structures, just go from here. If you'd rather write it out as a condensed formula instead, if that helps you, you can do that. But once you get the hang of skeletal structures, it's easier to work with because there aren't as many distractions. So with this skeletal structure, remember that every end and bend is a carbon. So I'm putting purple dots where all the carbons are. This end, you can't see what I'm doing, can you? This end is not a carbon. It is a fluorine attached to it. So if this were a Lewis structure, I'd actually need some electrons on that fluorine. There are hydrogens present. The hydrogens are assumed to be around the carbons in order to make up the rest of carbon's need for 4 bonds. So the first thing we do when we go to name it is we find the longest chain. Now, and it will not include the fluorine. The fluorine is a fluoro group, which is attached to the chain. It is a substituent, so it will be, fluoro will be part of the name of this. And so if I look for the longest chain, I come up with this. All right. Now here at the end, I could have gone down. I could have gone down and grabbed that carbon at the bottom instead of the carbon on the far left, and I would have exactly the same name, exactly the same structure, exactly the same substituents. It would have just swapped. It would have swapped these 2 carbons. One of them would have been part of the chain. The other would have been a branch on the chain. So I'm going to go with these, with this circled longest chain. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 carbons. So it is a psych for 6. I'm sorry. It is a hex for 6. And there is no circular structure, so it is not a cyclo anything. The hex is for 6, and it is a straight chain with only single bonds, so it is a hexane. So the very last part of this name, if I think about my paper, this is the last part of that name. It is hexane. There will be a fluoro prefix on that hexane. That fluoro is in the, if I count, let me get a different color. This is my first carbon. This is my second carbon. This is my 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th in that chain. I am coming from that direction because that puts the fluoro closest to the head of that chain. So it is a 2-fluoro. There are also, if you'll look at these, substituents here and here. These are each 1 carbon long. That is a methyl substituent. There are 2 of them, so it is a dimethyl, and they are in the 3 and the 5 position. So putting it all together, typically we go alphabetical. I don't remember if we saw very many examples where this was an issue. So between fluoro and methyl, the fluoro comes first. We usually don't count the di as part of our alphabetical list. So it is a 2-fluoro, 3,5 dimethyl hexane. And that is the name of this compound.